Hello, my name is Justin Larscheid, and this is my week 4 discussion post on employee rights and workplace ethics. The first question I chose to answer was question number 1. The authors argue that the concept of employee rights goes beyond legal protections. In your view, what distinguishes a moral right from a legal right? In my view and understanding, reinforced by what the authors had said in the article on employee rights, that main thing that distinguishes a moral right from a legal right is the implicit and explicit distinctions of each one. Moral rights are implicit, they are implied, and there's somewhat of a thing that we all inherently, intuitively know. We have a sense of what's right and wrong within ourselves, within our own consciousness. Legal rights at work are explicit, highly detailed, enforced by societal norms, cultural norms, the ethos, as the authors had spoke about. There was one sentence in the article that I really liked, was where it said, most people implicitly recognize or appeal to such a higher set of rights called moral rights or natural rights. So yeah, that's kind of how I would distinguish those two. Is moral rights are more implicit, implied, that we have an intuitive sense on what's right and wrong and what should, how you should treat people and how people should treat you. However, when legal rights come into play, that's more explicit, and that's more a thing that is, like I said, societal or culturally imposed and created by. Can you think of an example where workplace policy might be legally acceptable but ethically questionable? The most perfect example I can think of was during COVID. That was a big thing. It's still kind of a big thing. Obviously, that's in the past, but it lingers on. And what I'm getting at is when employers were requiring employees to get COVID shots, and you would hear that, in a sense, that what the question is asking, that an example where a workplace policy might be legally acceptable but ethically questionable, technically that was legally acceptable, that employers had the right to enforce that their employees got COVID-19 shots. However, in the greater moral rights of it or natural rights of it, that wasn't ethically right, that if somebody felt it was detrimental to their health potentially, or there was inherent risks with it that they weren't comfortable with, that they had the ethical right, they had the I'm sorry, they had the self right, their natural right to not want to do that, because that's their right, that's a part of their health. And so yeah, I think that was a big and a good example, because it was legally acceptable by companies to do it, but in the same sense it was ethically questionable. You can't tell somebody that they have to do something for their health because it applies to their job. There are certain circumstances that might apply. However, when the COVID-19 thing hit, I think that was a perfect example of that.